Check this fucking shit out!
Oh my god.
I felt my sphincter clench and my scrotum contract in shock.
The snack bar will remain open during the show.
Holy shit balls.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Good morning, kids, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Podcast with Tom and Jerry. Tom here. This is episode 2 of the episodes that chronicle my trip to Detroit, where I can actually do episodes in person with Jerry and some guests. This one is a solo one-on-one conversation between Jerry and myself. It was nice to be able to talk to him in the same room. This one's an emotional roller coaster. Goes from happy to sad to happy. There's a lot discussed here. We get to peek into Jerry's past, a little bit into his past military aspirations, his patriotic days. I never really had those, but it's interesting to talk to Jerry about them. And then, of course, we slip into our old ways, and we start losing a little class in the middle of this episode. But I think it's still worth listening to because you guys aren't here for the intellectual. I don't think. I mean, I don't know why you're here. Maybe it's just because you think I have a sexy voice, which I like to think that's the reason. But I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure you just like to laugh at dicks and boobs like me and Jerry. So if that's true, you're our demographic, and you're about to enjoy this episode as I play it now. All right, Jerry. Now, sitting across from you in your basement, I would like to tell you that I feel like we're friends that have actually gone on a journey and conquered something. Feels like we've climbed Everest or something, or
we survived and we achieved what we had been told would not be done, and we were told that by the person who crafted that for us. And I really felt that was a gauntlet thrown down that I took very seriously.
Of course, what we're talking about is last episode when we smoked a joint the size of Andre the Giant's cock. Size and girth.
We've seen every wrestler's cock from about 93 to about 98, given what the internet has available, and having compared them all and having a very, very heated debate, it was definitely closest to Andre the Giant's in size.
Yeah, we all agreed. A jury of our peers and us. But anyway, we the guy's like, you're never going to be able to smoke this whole joint. And us and, 2 other people?
There were 4 people total, the 2 of us and Paul and Nate, and not Dennis.
And fuck Dennis.
And
I mean it in a nice way.
I love that probably our most hostile episode ever was the one where we were the most high. It is so anti what everyone says about marijuana, but we just chose Dennis, and it's like we're taking you down.
You know what, Dennis? Listen up, brother. You want to defend yourself, you come to Jerry's basement.
and I think part of that came from, now to be fair,
I'll be waiting.
To be fair, only I knew the full extent of what we were getting ourselves into. You knew more than everybody else in terms of we had something up our sleeves that they were not quite prepared for. But Paul and Nate just...
I was in on the ground floor a little bit, yeah.
Paul and we had discussed some ideas for just taking things beyond the limit, but I didn't even know what was possible and realistic for our time frame until I got there and learned that Wonka's door opened way further into the warehouse than I thought, the candy factory.
Yeah, you know what's funny? It was like Wonka. You brought that joint out, it was like limping for a minute, and then you took it out of the box, and it was like, it did a flip, and was like, it's going to be magical and fun.
In a world of pure imagination.
Yeah. And it was that, too.
But what I really respected about... I knew what I was getting into. You knew that we were going to be pushing ourselves to the limit, but Nate and Dennis got completely ambushed, and though they are both alleged fans of...
You're Nate and Paul, you mean?
What did I say?
Dennis. Because fuck Dennis.
I wanted to say, Dennis, to specifically make sure we acknowledged one more time. Fuck you, Dennis. We're tired of your bullshit.
We're waiting for you, brother.
But yeah, Paul and Nate had no idea that was happening, and they just saw it and were like, we're in it. We're gonna take it as far as we can. And bottom line, not only did we finish it in one sitting, but we finished it within the show. We finished it within about 45 minutes. And,
we did what they said can't be done.
I'm a different person now.
Yeah.
It changed me forever.
Well, yeah, now I do feel like I've conquered something, you know? Feel like people that have climbed Everest feel this way, you know? If you've been under the ocean and actually looked at the physical Titanic, you probably feel like this. You know, something along those lines.
Like, this is just as good, if not better, as the feeling of winning, like, the Tour de France.
Yeah.
And we have both testicles.
That's true.
Allegedly. Potentially more.
Speak for yourself, Jerry.
In this room, we have at least 4, if not 6 to 7 testicles.
That's an accurate statement.
Between the two of us.
Yeah, that's okay. Just the facts on this podcast, folks. No, but I bring that up because when I was listening back to that episode, it was it was pretty good, and but it got convoluted and crazy because we had so many people. But if you listen to it, it was an entirely natural, high conversation. Which, if you think about it right now, sitting in the same room as each other, we're both really high. We have no choice but to do that now. We're recording already. Can't go back. Can't quit.
It's too late.
Which is the whole thing that I want to try to capture is a solo episode where we don't have any guests and it's just you and I, because I want to see where the conversation goes when we're forced to be in the same place instead of distracted by separate worlds.
It is very nice to be able to stare longingly into your eyes as we talk about, like, aliens with multiple pussies.
So you have been doing that. I thought it was just me.
You knew what it was.
All right. I thought I was, I didn't know if I was reading you right, but now I know where you stand, and I feel you, man.
Somehow or another, and I'm not entirely sure how, but I'm going to give it my best shot here. We're going to transition into talking about something that we started to get into while we were just chatting it up like schoolgirls getting ready for the show, and then it's like, hold on, we should hang on to this. But I don't know how we now got there, but somehow we got to talking about I was intending to go into the Army Reserves a while back when very near to when the whole 9/11 thing happened, and I was feeling very free to me, and there were songs on the radio where it's like, go and die and it'll be good, don't worry about it, it seems good now. Yeah, exactly. Songs about flags and the Eagles.
Gotta
and
run to freedom.
You see planes shooting off like the Blue Angels in formation, and it's just like, yeah, I just want to go shoot at stuff, and
gotta fight for tits.
Well, pretty much too. It's like, hey, that uniform will definitely help that. It couldn't hurt. Dear God, it couldn't hurt. Getting off topic, however, oh dear God,
You were considering.
I was considering it, and I'm overwhelmed now because I'm not entirely sure I remember where I was going with it, but I'm gonna just start going down the path and hope I end up
it's
at the
a
right
good path
place.
to go down, because it's like I didn't know the Jerry that was ready to go into service for this great country.
It was a bad time. Any time that seems like a good idea, it's not a good. It's
the
not
only
a good
time I ever considered fighting for my country, I was in a bad place, dude.
And like I knew that I'm so not a soldier or a fighter. Like I knew like this is gonna be great. Like I'm gonna go out there, my gun's gonna jam.
I'm a wait till he walks away for a sec, hit him in the back of the head kind of guy.
Exactly. Like that is my family lineage. Is when we fight.
Your family crest is a guy punching another guy in the back of the head.
Yes, but also like a second panel where they're running desperately into the distance before they can be struck again. Because we are very interested and feel very good about hitting someone, but we have no intention at all of being hit ourselves. So it has to be very quick. A pow and run.
Yeah, I do feel that.
Which we have perfected.
I prefer hitting to getting hit. I mean,
It's why we stay lean. It helps with the quick getaway. You just snap one in there, pop when they're not looking, and you run away. It's the bravest thing you can possibly do.
Yeah, I think
clearly I would have been perfect for the military, but I did not end up being part of that. I was disqualified before I even got there, which I think is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
But they've got to be real careful if you have any
Killed
history.
a man.
No. Well, yeah, that you might be, depending on how.
I can't
things
believe
went.
it disqualified me, man.
Depending on how that went, and
It was just Heath Ledger, and the government covered it up anyway. Jerry, what did you do?
I always thought it was either the government or Gallagher, one of them. You have weird enemies. But
I was listening to the Beatles backwards, and they said, "You better fucking kill him."
that's I don't know. I can't imagine Heath Ledger listening to the Beatles backwards and hearing death threats against him, but I can actually imagine that being enough to drive him to kill himself, which is a cheery segue from wherever the fuck it was that I was going with the military story. I don't know what made it come up, but I think if nothing else, it's funny what can sound like a good idea at one moment, and you can almost go in one direction, and then you look back and it's like, dear God, thank God I did not do that, because some dudes are cut out for it, some dudes are not. Oh, I am so not cut out for that. I would have gotten my ass shot off by myself.
Yeah, I
Cleaning
don't.
my gun.
I've never had the thought of military seems the way to go. I was always kind of like, nah, fuck that, dude. Which is, I know, not a safe stance to take out loud.
Someone else will fight.
Only
for my
time I
freedom.
ever thought of fighting for my country, I was like, fuck my country. But hopefully that doesn't get isolated.
Oh, this will endear us to our listening audience for sure.
Well, we're big in the Confederate States.
We like
so.
our freedom, but we'd really prefer that someone else go and get their ass shot off for it, because we just don't find ourselves capable of violence. We'd prefer to sit on a couch and have a nice sandwich.
Yeah. Talk about porn and
Yeah.
fucking
Oh yeah.
weed and just
Bring up stories that you don't know what the fuck was the point of bringing them up, but you just hang in there and keep trucking along and just never fully recover, so you just make the best of it and package it up as best you can.
Now, there are normal men and there are heroes, Jerry. And I'm going to put us down for a hero's dinner.
Well, for fuck's sake, please stop me from talking for like 2 or 3 minutes, because I need time to recover. That didn't go as I was planning. that was just... That story just completely got away from me.
It's all right.
I think I'm just in disbelief that I was ever considering going into the military.
It's just dawning on you now. Hey, it's okay, man.
I think about it all the time. Just like, I could be in the military right now and just be the Gomer Pyle of the military.
Dude, what if you might have gone in and went through a crazy Full Metal Jacket type of thing and killed and seen a bunch of fucked up shit, and then you came back and we started doing a podcast? You'd be a much different guy.
Well, here's something that is kind of fucked up about it, and of course, allegedly, because if you say anything about like, yeah, I was ever diagnosed with depression, ever, or I was ever treated for depression, ever. If you say this, because they ask you very specific questions before you're fully enlisted in, it's an automatic disqualification, and they know that. So the recruiters who don't want to go through the trouble of all the paperwork and the conversations and whatever, they don't put a gun to your head. If you decide that you want to go in and do it, okay, well, that's good for them, because obviously the amount of people they're getting in affects how they look to their superiors, and the military is an industry where they will chew your ass off at every level. Like,
oh, yeah.
They tear you apart. It's not the same as when you fuck up at work normally and your boss is kind of pissed at you. They will fucking rip you up one end and down the other. So they don't like disappointing their bosses. So if they have somebody who's interested in getting into the military, they don't want anything to happen at the last minute. So they tell you up front, if you have any history with depression or anything along those lines, mental illness, they're just going to disqualify you. So you have to lie about it. But understand that lying about that is a serious fucking crime. And if they find out that you lied about it for any reason, you're fucked. But
they pretty much want you to lie about it. They're like,
well, if you don't lie about it, you can't get in.
Yeah.
But if you do lie about it, and then, for example, shit happens, and it's like, hey, I have this thing, and they bring up your paperwork where you lied about it, now you've committed a crime.
Yeah.
So it may not even be worth bringing up, and I don't know how that shit works, but bottom line, it's kind of fucked up to think that in order to sustain our military with numbers, they are almost forced to encourage people that have a history suggesting perhaps they should.
Well, how many people do you think have been treated for like depression or have been depressed? You know,
That's
it's
a great
staggering number.
That's
like
a
how
great
how many
point.
people aren't that are even like half smart? I don't want a guy in the military that's never been depressed. You know what I mean?
Just
That's
a
guy-
super happy dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't wait to kill some Iraqis. Yeah. You're just like, well, you know, I just wanted to fight for my country. I don't know. I'm listless. You know,
They just-
but, like the thing about fuck. It's so hard to keep a train of thought. We gotta stop getting so high for these things.
Nonsense! It's part of the challenge. Anyone can do it, sober-brained.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone's been treated with, you know, for depression, I feel like. And if they haven't, they've at least thought about it. Or if you're me, I haven't been treated for it, but it leads to awkward conversations sometimes. Like every once in a while, I'll come out with it like, oh, I feel like I'm depressed. Someone's like, get help. And I'm like, no, fuck getting help. I don't want to get help. You know, it's like, I'll just get happy later. And it does happen. It's just like a wave of depression. That's how I always am. And, like, I feel like, you know, I've never been treated for it, but it has led to like awkward doctor's visits where it's like, well, how else you doing? You know, like after a checkup, and you're just like, I don't know, I'm sad. Do you do anything for sad?
And if you think about it from a purely just like a statistics point of view, it's no secret that a high number of military enlistments tend to be from lower income type situations because they will, you know, it's income, it's room, it's board, it's food, it's, you know, help with college, it's all these different things that appeal to people that are working with as few options as possible. But you can't and I'm not saying they appeal specifically to that audience, but you can't have that high a percentage of that audience and not have just as high a percentage of that audience be depressed. It just comes with it. There are no happy poor people, and if they are, there's some questions to be asked.
Yeah. I'm getting like shell shock sad. We're getting into like
getting heavy.
Apocalypse Now territory, man. We're getting into like the mind of a. I feel the same way though.
We were on such a happy note when whatever brought that shit up,
And then the plane derailed.
We knew by the time that we went from hold that thought to okay, here we are, I would fuck it up.
Yeah.
And we were correct. I did fuck it up.
Why is that a theme in my life, man? Where I'm like, you know, does it take any sort of seriousness? Do you have to fucking be there and present? Because if you do, man, you know, you're gonna fuck it up. And there's like that voice in the back of my head all the time, like, no, you can't do that, you'll blow it. You know?
I just think that's the problem with having a completely random ass conversation that tends to go in very unexpected directions. Is it doesn't take many turns before it's like, well, it's like a labyrinth, man. How the fuck did we get here?
No, I agree with that. Except for I'm actually saying it's a real realization that I do that, where I'm just like, for whatever reason, have a voice that about certain things is like, nope, you can't do that. You'll fuck it up. You know what I mean? I feel like there's some go-getter people that don't have that, and I need to figure out how to do that.
I feel like people don't like those people.
Yeah,
everybody's got limits, man. If you don't have limits, there's something.
Yeah, because
wrong
I don't
with
feel like I'm getting down on myself. I set normal, realistic limits, like go fight for the country. Nah, you can't do it, do you?
Yep.
Fuck it up. You know, be in charge of everything. Nah, you probably can't. You really can't do it. You know,
Dick and Boobs podcast.
you could probably do it.
This I can achieve.
Yeah. And speaking of that, on a lighter note,
It would almost have to be.
just before flying out, I for whatever reason I was running late, but I'm like, you know, I feel like I got a jerk real quick, so I decided to get into it as quick as possible.
Of course.
And I went to the porn site I've been using is LobsterTube.
I have not heard of LobsterTube.
LobsterTube is great because it's the filthiest, and they have everything. So LobsterTube's set up so
That's
that
a bold statement.
it's on the left side of the screen. There's A through Z, the letters. And you just click on it, and if you click on B, it'll show you like butthole licking, big boob fetish, like everything that starts with B. That's a porn category. And
The order that you list them in says much about you, Tom.
yeah, exactly. Well, I've just been knocking my way through the alphabet. Which sucks because the first one's anal with apes, so I started there.
Well, you have to start at the beginning, otherwise you'll be lost before you get very far in.
Well, that's not actually. I didn't see Anal with Apes, but if my phone wasn't on the charger in the other room, I'd hunt it down right now.
I can promise you that Paul, as soon as he hears this, will be on top of it and will have ready to go.
You hear that, Paul? You own hound dog? Sniff it out, buddy. Find her. Let the boy loose.
If it is out there, and we suggest that it is or isn't, if there's any doubt, Paul will find it or find that it is not there.
I'm just gonna call to Paul every so often if I want to see something, and I don't want to look at it myself. I'll have Paul hunt it down and present it to me like a cat killing a bird and bringing it to you, you know. But anyway, the whole point was, you can also randomize it, which is a dangerous. You never know what you're gonna get. But the whole point is, I'm like, I gotta jerk off to something really quick. Don't really have time to. I'm gonna randomize it, see what I get, and I just used the first video that came up, which is it was just a white chick with a huge ass, black guy with a gigantic cock, probably comparable to the size of her ass. It's the kind of cock you need for that ass, you know. And he was not fucking her ass, but he was like, he had his dick like he was basically titty fucking her butt cheeks.
Oh, okay.
So he was just like, and that's what he did the whole video, and just came all over her back, and it got in her hair, and she's like, oh, you got it all in my weave. And then the video kind of just cuts out. And it's funny because it's like an amateur video, and you can see probably it's like his buddy filming it. Somehow they agreed to it. It's a very seedy. I always wonder how these amateur porn videos, like how they start off. Because at one point or another, a lot of these videos, a buddy had to ask a buddy, like, dude, can you film me titty fucking my wife's butt? He's like, yeah, but I work that day. It'll have to be after 5.
Yeah, you gotta have dinner before you do that, because afterward you just want a coney dog.
That's true.
And sometimes they're not readily available.
Extra onion?
Oh yeah. Yep, extra sloppy. Well, it didn't take us very long to transition from the depth and sadness of the military to titty fucking butts.
No, this is an honest podcast, If we're being honest about our deep depressions, we might as well be honest about our deep depravities.
One of us depressed, and one of us had to get a quick jerk out before we hopped on the plane.
You know what's funny, though? It's like I let it go a few days, which I hardly ever do. But I realized, like, right before I flew out, I'm like, oh, I gotta jerk now. Haven't jerked in a few days. Probably I'm not gonna jerk in a few days. Just jerking somewhere else, like when it's not my home or something, I feel like it's like, sometimes you can't shit anywhere else either when you fly in. Takes you like a day to shit.
I can shit anywhere, but yeah, it's not easy to. You can't. You shouldn't be able to just jerk anywhere. If you can just jerk anywhere, then you need to be evaluated carefully.
Yeah. I think
have your own TV show.
I think as a younger man, I could have been a guy who would have jerked everywhere if I was more, if I was more cunning and, gutsy about it. I think I was just too scared. I'd been places where I was like, I wonder if there's anywhere I can get to jerk. And then I'm like, what am I thinking?
Is this another moment where that voice is telling you to doubt yourself? You know that underneath the fire burns and you could totally just
do
make it happen.
Yeah. If this voice wasn't like, don't hold yourself back. Or do hold yourself back. You can't do it. I'd be like, fuck.
If this were a movie, there'd be a montage coming that would just be absolutely
Gotta have a
breathtaking.
montage. That fucking, just me jerking. All kinds of different, because it's just me playing the game I've been playing, which is where I go to LobsterTube and pick a random thing and watch a video and see if I can jerk off to it. I've just gone through all porn and I'm just like, just give me random ones. Show me something else.
Left hand, right hand, hands taped up. You're beating a big thing of meat in a freezer.
Yeah. It's funny because there was one, I was like, if anyone ever is able to tap into this and read not my search history, but the history of the videos I watched, if they went simply by title, I could be convicted, probably. Like, one of them was, one of the most recent videos that I had watched, I didn't type in this name, but it's like you watch a random one, probably based on like a thumbnail you saw, you know what I'm saying? And the name of it was Huge Milky Load.
Hey, you like what you like.
Yeah. I don't like Huge Milky Load. It's just like I saw the thumbnail, the chick's hot. You know, the name doesn't always go with the video.
Yeah, I have had that exact same thought, and I think we've mentioned it before, where it's like a lot of bad shit can happen to me, and I'll be fucking just fine. But considering some of the more amused paths that I've gone down when it comes to, you know what? I don't even care about jerking off anymore. I just did not know that this type of person existed, and I want to see more of this crazy ass shit. But then it's on your history, and it's like, oh, you think it's gone?
Yeah. You ever go in
it's gone.
You ever?
No, it's
No, it stays forever. Have you ever gone in with the intent of with the intent to jerk? Then you see something that dissuades you entirely, and you zip up, and you just keep looking anyway, just out of a scientific curiosity.
That's the best case scenario, and the worst case scenario is it's like, all right, look, I don't have time to explore curiosities and to take care of business, so tonight we take care of business exploring curiosities, and we just figure it out in the morning.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's only one. You can either go and exploring with intent to jerk, or just exploring. If you go with exploring with intent to jerk, you're gonna jerk to something weird. There's no doubts about it. That's what I found. You know, you can either come out like a hero, or your night ends just like splurt. Okay, well, I can't believe I watched that. I gotta burn my computer. This is now my burner laptop.
There's definitely a fair amount of like instant post shame.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, well, I shouldn't even go right to sleep. I should just sit up and just kind of think about, man.
Who am I, dude?
I don't know. I think that snowman wasn't comfortable with everything that took place there.
Yeah.
But the chick with the lizard tattoos and the piercing suspending her from her nipples was pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about it.
And she had a huge cock.
I'm going to watch it again and again and again.
Oh, I can't believe that stuff is just out there. I mean, that's how everyone's living. Everyone's seeing a crazy sexual thing every day, I think. Some people don't talk about it. We're talking about it. But I think everyone's seeing a lot of the stuff that we've seen, you know.
I'm just so happy that I'm not one of the guys that really gets turned on by just getting drop kicked in the sack.
Oh, dude, I've seen so many of those videos, too.
Even if...
Sometimes I watch them and just laugh, like, she's kicking that guy's naked dick, and his balls are flapping, and they're turning red. He's like, yeah.
There's a weird mental thing.
She's dressed like a nurse for some reason.
You're pulling at a thread here, because there's a very weird mental thing that I have found, where if I see a video like Jackass style, where a buddy kicks his buddy in the nuts, and it's just a full-on blast, and the dude is doubled over and just shitting blood.
Yeah.
I feel it in my body, and I recoil. However, for some reason, if there's a dude where getting kicked in the nuts just lights up his Christmas tree and that's his favorite thing, it becomes funny. And I don't know how that works, but I can see a dude just get drilled all day long and giggle along, but it has to be porn, which is weird, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I defy you to see that, and knowing that he's having a good time but still getting physically drilled, it's how do you not have a chuckle?
You always wonder about that guy's personal life too, you know, like who is this his wife that he convinced to dress up like this? Is it a chick he knows? Is it a porn star in most cases?
Mailman.
Oh, it's okay. He's the mailman.
Yep.
In their house. He
All
came
of
in like, I'm here to deliver a package.
All of them.
Could you beat it red and send me on my way? And they're like, yeah, yes we can.
Just put it through the mail slot.
This is a fragile package, ma'am. I don't care, you sack of shit. Written.
Paul, technical note, can we see if there's any, like, getting your dick slammed in a mail slot porn?
Yeah.
Because that's something else that I feel like that just belongs in the same catalog
We need
with Flipper
Paul.
Boy.
We need Paul in like an office where we can just like, Paul, can you get on mailman getting his balls busted, please?
I kind of think of him that way, where like he's just in his office in like his little booth or something, and we just like, you know, hey Paul, can you go ahead and look up this? Can you see if a dolphin has ever fucked like 6 guinea pigs?
Yeah.
It's random, I know, but we ended up there somehow. So we started on the military, and now that's where we're at.
There's a natural progression to things.
Yeah, clearly. You know, I did have, because in the last show, miraculously, we managed to get a few things somewhat accomplished, and one of them was I wanted to welcome you home with stories of everything going on in the neighborhood.
I love the local news here, man. It's always a little crazier than what I'm reading in Kansas City.
I mean, everybody's got their own flavor of crazy, but our flavor of crazy is unique, and there is a certain hominess to it where it stands out from the crowd. I can tell a Florida crazy from a Michigan, specifically
A Detroit crazy.
a Detroit crazy, a Flint crazy, a Pontiac crazy, a Boonies crazy. There's
They're all different, little different types of crazy.
There's some different, yeah. So this one,
Those guys, by the way, more terrifying than any horror movie killer. You know, that's the most terrifying type of guy. You see him, he's just like, if you're afraid he's gonna kill you, that's the worst kind of guy to run into. Is like the white trash. Like I can't wait to show you to mama. And he's got like a knife, you know, and you're like, oh shit. Okay.
sorry,
Trying not to derail again. I shouldn't have said.
no, you're fine. I just I experienced a little blue screen there, a little mental brownout. I'm just fine now. See,
it was too terrifying to comprehend.
Let me explain what's going on right now, because I'll tell you exactly what's going on right now. It's funny. Like, yes, technically, perhaps we have been smoking some marijuana, but we do that every Saturday, and things are just fine. The difference tonight is it's not a Saturday where I've slept in.
Yeah.
It is a Monday where I'm operating on 3 hours of sleep, and I went to work earlier. So.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. You're the weekday Jerry. You never talk to the weekday Tom. He's the same way, man.
Yes.
I'm on vacation here.
This is not
working.
Superman. This is Clark Kent. I was a robot for 8 hours. Bleep, boop, fucking bleep. So it's hard to transition back to actual human thought and mental dexterity. But with that in mind, there was one other story that we missed that it's a little bit complicated, so I probably wouldn't have been able to handle it, telling it or receiving it either way. But
oh yeah, we were on a mission, a journey. We were like the Lord of the Rings tribe walking together. We couldn't have listened to a story at that point, I don't think.
We were just trying to survive. We were just short of becoming cannibals.
Yeah, we were just, that whole episode was us giggling through a dick-shaped giant joint. Like, it's coming back around, and then shit like that. Like,
it came around very quickly.
Yeah, I know.
People were very quick to like, okay, take it.
Yeah,
I've done my part.
Yeah, because you couldn't hit like a huge hit, or you'd dry out, and your voice you couldn't even talk.
Oh, I know.
And
I kept
then
trying it anyway.
Yeah, I mean the same thing would happen to me, so I would have to start taking little hits. Then everyone started doing that, and it started coming around quicker. Fuck, it's haunting our dreams. We gotta stop talking about it.
It's just something that you have to keep reliving.
That thing hobbled us mentally. I don't think we'll ever be the same.
We were staggered, but we remain unbeaten.
Yeah.
Well,
let's rise from the ashes like a
together.
phoenix and see if we can get back into this topic.
So, I don't want to. I can't give the headline away because it gives the whole story. But basically, what happened is there was an Amber Alert because somebody kidnapped a kid. So of course, everyone freaks out appropriately, and I'll preface right now and say everything works out just fine.
Is that one where every alarm went off on everyone's phone in the whole area?
Yes, which scares the shit out of me every time because working in a packed like cubicle warehouse,
you're like, what is that?
It's instantly an alarm going off in every direction. It's like, okay, even the alarms here at work do not do this, so this is just the end of the world as we know it, and I haven't had my lunch yet, which is devastating.
Yeah.
So what had happened was this mother with a 3-year-old little boy had some friends over to hang out, and the friends happen to be a couple, and this couple happens to have a child of their own, little girl. So while they were over, the couple got into a little scuffle, a little argument.
Scrapped a little?
Not a physical altercation necessarily, but just got into a little a heated tiff.
Yeah, a tiff's a good word.
And
I like that.
The wife stormed out, and I believe they had brought their child with them, which would make sense. They both have a small child. They would perhaps get along. And so when she left and took their kid, he took this as you are taking my kid from me, and I have to now do something. So
Right.
his response, his brilliant idea.
That's often the thinking of crazy
in the
dads.
heat of the moment of I have to act because now I have no leverage. So he
just went into Taken. Like, my daughter's been taken.
kind of, but he did it wrong, and that's kind of the point. He took their friend's kid.
What the fuck is that?
He took their friend's kid, and my favorite part of this, as horrible as it is he left the friend a note to explain his thinking, which read, and I quote, "Get my baby, will contact, done playing, let's play."
What the Done playing, let's play.
I just love how short each sentence is, but how it very clearly expresses his feelings on the matter and how
Who wants to play a game?
because he got upset.
Not me.
Well, and that's an interesting thing too. It's like a little bit of mental terrorism there. It's like done playing, let's play.
Yeah.
It's like what do you do
Yeah.
with that?
Oh, you don't want to play anymore? Now it's time to play?
How do
Oh.
so would get your baby be playing, or would that not you're not playing but you want to play?
That'd be a good movie. Get your baby be playing?
By the way, it's probably a really good idea to make fun of local psychopaths.
Dude, we should watch. It sounds like a black drama. Like, get your baby be playing. Like it's like a movie like The Wood, or one of those black drama type movies. Something starring like Taye Diggs.
I'm not gonna lie right now. Going back to a previous and a recurring, I promise you, conversation. The Wood was a personal favorite for a while of masturbation options prior to the wide availability of porn.
Oh, really? The Wood? It's got a good.
The scene when he finally bangs the high school chick that he has a crush on, whose brother's the crazy ass gangster.
Yeah, that shit was.
She was hot.
Yeah, that shit was a crazy
She was
scene.
Very
I
attractive.
remember that too. You know what? I haven't seen that in years, but I did jerk to it as a younger man. We have that in common. We're
And-
like
and
blood brothers now.
It was very
Jizz
satisfying.
Brothers.
It was very. Oh man, that's the title that belongs on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But it would have to be matching T-shirts, of course. You just wear one, you'd look weird.
Yeah, you gotta have a jizz brother.
But
Wear the other one.
that movie, man, like what was satisfying about that was it was an adult, but she's playing like a fresh out of high. Well, she was technically still in high school, but she was, right at like the 17, 18-year-old range where it's like almost okay, but she was legally an adult in real life, so it is okay. And it's like, perfect.
Yeah, it works out. There's a loophole where it's not. I'm not fucked up.
But it really would have changed that movie drastically if instead of
I'm gonna go back now
Omar
and I'm gonna
Epps or
watch The
whatever.
Wood. I'm gonna watch the whole movie. Just so that I'm not even gonna just watch that scene. I'm gonna watch the whole movie so I have the build up, and I'm gonna watch that scene and then I'm gonna jerk off to it.
I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't be further from the demographic of that movie, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed that movie when it came. I don't know if it was when it came out, but shortly after it came out, around that time period. Couldn't have been that long afterward.
We should do a test. We'll watch The Wood separately, and we'll see if we can get through it without jerking, or if it brings up old feelings.
I like the possibility.
play a game?
I like-
done playing. Let's play.
I like that you're allowing for the possibility that watching the movie together, at least one of us may have to start jerking, and the question is which one will jerk first.
Oh, who jerk first? It's like an Asian game show. Fuck, dude, we should
They
move to
do have
Asia and
shit
just
like
start
that.
pumping out game shows.
They do have
I have
shit
a million.
like that.
I have a million ideas for shit like that.
As a matter of fact, another brilliant transition unexpectedly. Have you noticed how much Asian porn is a game show?
A lot of it is. Well, a lot of Asian game shows are porn.
Like there's no line there. It's just like
I love the one. Have you seen it? It's like there's supposed to be an Asian guy singing a song, but the whole time there's a chick jerking him off. So he sings it all fucked up, and people like judge him. There's like judges. So I don't know how you ever win if someone just thinks it's funny enough.
What do you mean? How do you win? That guy wins.
Yeah, that
He's
guy
singing
wins.
a song, getting jerked off in front of a
And I don't
national
know because they
audience.
never really have subtitles, and it doesn't really show the dick. It's like her hand's like under they put like a sheet in front of it, and then she puts her hand like under a sheet and starts jerking him off, and he starts singing a song into a microphone, and everyone laughs at him and puts up signs, and usually just the funniest one wins. But it never really shows if the guy. It's sort of because I don't speak the language, but it's kind of implied in my mind that it's the guy's got to sing the song without coming also. But you never know you can never tell if the guy came. But every once in a while, it's just like brrr, and she pulls her hand out, and it's like, it's like I'm pretty sure the guy just jizzed, but I'm not sure.
All right, you and I right now are gonna MythBusters this, but not physically. Not physically. We're
going to Japan.
We're just gonna logic this one out. Think about this now. Number one, I don't know if I could masturbate and sing. That in itself is a challenge, and I open that up to our listeners.
I can't really sing.
Anyone who's listening to this, if you can sing and masturbate the entire time,
send in a audio recording.
Right, I am single.
I want to hear proof if you're going to do this. If you think you can sing while masturbating and sound good and not come till the song's over, then
even just the physical multitasking of focusing on masturbating and also singing at the same time, that would be really distracting. That's number one. Number two, you are being viewed by a studio audience. Now, you take singing out, you take everything else out, just masturbating while a whole bunch of people sit there awkwardly eating popcorn and sipping Pepsi in their clothes, watching. That in itself is hard. Now, you have the aid of your female attendant, and you'd think, well, that makes a bit of a difference. And perhaps it does, but at the same time, I know that you have had a hand job when you are not fully hard, and basically all you're doing is taking a boneless finger and yanking on it until it either snaps off and flies around the room, or you just scream like, stop, I submit, I tap out.
Yeah.
Give me the sharpshooter, the figure four, anything else, stop pulling on my dick.
That's enough.
It doesn't get any bigger, I promise you. I've tried this. I've tried two hands. I've tried tying it to a doorknob and slamming it like a loose tooth. Nothing works. But
quit flopping that thing around and get out.
Point of that being, I think it would be harder to come than to not. I think it's almost impossible. I think part of the reason why they sound terrible is because they're just jerking at their poor lifeless meat while everyone stares at them like a human zoo.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Which is a great game show, by the way.
Dude, I don't know. Asians that are like part of those types of game shows, it always sort of does seem like it wouldn't be like you or me. Like, we'd be awkward probably about it, but they're in there. Then they're awkward about it because they're singing and getting laughed at, but I think they like being jerked at the same time. So they, I think more often than not, the guy will come and lose he'll lose by winning.
And you're delving into a very interesting cultural study of the two different, actually of every culture and how they would respond in the situation, because if you grow up in a society where you've got porn game shows on TV and it's just normal and whatever, no one's, gives a shit, then perhaps it's a lot easier to imagine yourself standing in front of a studio audience getting jacked off and singing yourself a song, versus we who have grown up in rigid, prudish, everything's a big fucking deal. Janet Jackson's titties ruined the fucking Super Bowl, which was said by no
Janet
man
Jackson's
ever.
Sweet, sweet titty.
That should have been the best thing that ever happened, and it became the worst. It became the worst thing that ever happened. Everything became a witch hunt. Now every time someone says fuck or shit or cock, or it just finds the radio stations or TV.
You think that was like the quagmire?
That was when the FCC just went apeshit. That was when things got rough for the WWF.
And then you couldn't be offensive, and now it's like you got to push back to say whatever you want.
It's just now getting to a point where, like, dude, never mind like profanity and never mind like boobs and shit. Like, let's talk about gore for a second. I don't know if you give a shit at all about Walking Dead, but it's one of the few shows that I've actually kept through and watched from the beginning.
I've seen like the first 2 seasons, then I kind of fell off from watching it. It's not like I avoid it on purpose. I just haven't gotten back into it for whatever reason.
It became like, this is my thing with Melanie. Like, whenever that was on, we would always watch that.
Yeah.
And so we've stayed caught up, and in the latest episode, which aired at 9 p.m. on network cable, the amount of gore, and not just zombies and ripping arms off and blood. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but
dude, fuck it.
Some people got
I don't even watch the show. I went on Facebook for 1 minute today and saw who died. So
it's not even that, but it's the fact that
The scene so shocking.
Well, the thing that's not a spoiler for anybody is the dude that does the ass whoopings does so with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, and the only thing
Pulls the old Triple H.
the only thing that would be a spoiler is the fact that he doesn't really bother with anything but their skull. But what they did, you think, okay, you hit somebody in the skull with a baseball bat, blood splatter, they're a limp corpse now, and that's that. No. They would hit the person, and then they would change the actor's makeup to reflect having just been struck by a goddamn baseball bat.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job of showing what someone's face would look like if the back of their skull was blown out by a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And they're showing these guys alive and sputtering and gasping and trying to make sense, and their eyes are bulging out.
Dude.
And I was ready to fucking puke, man.
I got to see the scene now.
I was ready to fucking puke. I'll show it to you.
The scene's a big deal. I know that. So
I will show you the scene, but I will tell you, I am not usually very...
Dude, let's take a rare minute to pause and take a break and watch the scene.
I'm down.
Okay, because the thing about that scene is it is a big deal, because the first thing I saw this morning is an article in my feed that spoiled the deaths right in the title. But then it also, I'm like, fuck it, I don't care about The Walking Dead anyway, but it's
Right.
like, did it go too far? So I'm like, huh. And I read it, and it just sounded like the most violent thing ever.
I told them last night when we were watching it, I said, just based on our reactions here and just looking at this, I know this is going to cause a shitstorm tomorrow because this is too fucking far for 9 p.m. on network cable. And I am the ultimate, have a fucking riot, have a party, go too far, boobs and violence. But this made me want to throw up my dinner. So, yeah, we should definitely take a look at this and then come back.
All right, well, since we're going to a break, I'll add some music right here for the listeners. I think it'll be Two Princes by the Spin Doctors, but not the whole song, maybe just the part where he's like, yeah, so we'll be right back.
Another genius move.
Beats on the bread, beats on the bread, beats on the bread with a baseball bat. Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Now, having seen that scene, I will say, that is probably all in all the most brutal villain I've ever seen on network cable TV at an hour as early as 9 p.m. Because that was brutal as fuck, gory and violent, but it was also bad because there's violence to where there's gore, and there's violence to where, that guy is fucked up and how violent he's being. You know what I mean?
And that was both.
Yeah. This was one of those things where it was there's only a few scenes in history that sort of remind me of that kind of thing. One of them's you ever seen the first RoboCop from the 80s? And when they kill him before he turns into RoboCop?
Yes.
That scene.
Yes.
Murphy's death?
Yes.
That's the one of the most, because it's in that same spirit of these guys are just fucking torturing a guy to death. Well, you know what I mean? But in this case, Walking Dead, everyone else is being tortured by having to watch it,
And I have an appreciation for the Hitchcockian ability to not show you anything, but between the other hints and clues and subtleties going on, your mind fills in the rest, and it's horrifying. But what they specifically did there, accomplished there, is the level of just gore, just as much gore. They had to have looked at that scene and just from multiple points of view said, how can we get more gore into this complete brutal execution?
Now, on a personal level, I will say that I've seen a gorier and much worse scene. So I think I'm tainted. I've never seen a worse scene than this.
On network cable,
no,
though.
that's the point I was going to make.
A&E.
So I just as how much it was, you said you were getting nauseous. I was just kind of oh damn, dude, that's fucked up. But I wasn't as bad. Because I have seen a scene before that I'm tempted to show you later because it's you'll never be the same again. And it's the scene from the movie Bone Tomahawk is what the movie's called.
Oh man, that
with,
sounds fucked up.
It's got Kurt Russell in it. But yeah, this
Of
is
course.
really fucked up scene. craziest death scene I've ever seen anywhere. But aside from that, this scene we did just watch is the most brutal gore I've ever seen, like on a network cable television death. Like, at least, you know, that comes on at 9. And yeah, it's rated TVMA and this and that, but it's like, was it too much? I don't know. I don't know how to draw those conclusions.
Having watched Game of Thrones, Sons of Anarchy, Dexter, shows that do not shy away from some pretty dark ideas in terms of violence and death and execution and all that fun stuff, the thing that just struck me about it is I've seen some pretty dark shit, and so I'm able to tolerate some pretty dark shit. And by the time that you hit your 20s and whatnot, and believe me, like when I was a teenager and when I was an elementary school kid, like the last thing I wanted was for someone to tell me that I'm not old enough to take in content. But I'm telling you right now, if I was a Walking Dead fan as like a middle school kid and I watched that scene with my friends somewhere, like I'd be fine, but that shit would change my fucking setup. Like that would be a day that changed me as a human being forever. The younger you are, and at 9 p.m. that's the problem. Like you can't. I don't ever want to have things be censored because people don't monitor their kids.
Well, that's kind of the point. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point I was going to make, is like a scene like that, though, on TV is sort of like, it's one of those monumental moments in television history, you know?
It was.
I thought. And that's, you know, because it's like they took a stand to like be like, well, it has to be this violent. You know, they fought censors. They probably pushed for more just so they could get this amount in there, you know?
And anytime it comes down to fighting either with or against the censors, when it comes down to it, I'm always going to be against it. But there's nothing wrong with being willing to examine your previous boundary set and just say, okay,
well, see,
appropriate for me versus appropriate for, you know, and that, I know that's hard.
See, that is a thing, like, it can go two ways, though, because it's like, me, like, I saw a lot of really violent shit like that when I was young, like, younger than I should have seen it, you know, but it changes your, like, I don't know, because violence is a device, like a literary device a lot of the time, so the more violent you can make it sometimes takes a stand to the feel of the whole story, you know what I mean, which is what I'm sure they kind of did in The Walking Dead, but, like, if you're young, sometimes as a young person, like I've, because you know you see gory shit and it's violent, you know you're not really supposed to see it, so that piques your interest sort of to like, holy shit, that's fucked up, like, you know, let me find out about that, like that's a super violent thing I just saw, what movie is this, or someone tells you read like a violent part of a book or something and you're like, shit, like that it makes it stick in your mind and you remember it. You know what I mean, it can cause you to, I mean, if you're desensitized to it a little bit, not to the point where you're a psychopath and killing other people, but if you can, like, you're like, holy shit, like, they had to make me feel that shitty by seeing that to convey what this guy's actually doing. You know what I mean?
The world is a violent place, so I am very conflicted ever being against anything because it's too violent or because it's too whatever. But I don't know. There's just something about that, or maybe just it's you know, it's not my job to police the world based on where my comfort levels are. But for me, like, that was just too much, man. I guess I just have a sensitivity to gore that perhaps has softened me even more with time, because I could take that shit all day long and be fine, but now it's like, man, I can feel that shit, man. Every time he did whatever he did with the thing that he did the thing with.
Wait, so you think you're getting more gore sensitive?
I think I'm more gore sensitive. I think my desensitization to
not
porn
Al Gore
increases.
Sensitive.
I continue to desensitize to porn, but to violence I become more sensitive. But I'll tell you one thing, and this kind of ties in with what we were talking about before.
I mean, that's good. I feel like that'll mean you'll be opened up sexually, but you won't be beating a guy to death, you know?
Part of that might be because it was a very real concern of mine for a brief period of time that there was going to be some kind of draft during all the Iraq shit, and it's like, hey, guess what? It's not your choice. Go hope you don't step on landmines.
Yeah, because when you're worried about a draft, you're usually like 18, and that's a weird time. Because, the war, like, when you're 18 and there's a chance you could be drafted, you're just like, what the fuck? Especially if you're not, like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do that. I would never choose to do that no matter what.
So that may be part of where my violence sensitivities comes from. But it is very strange too, because I at the same time enjoy watching UFC and having someone knee someone else in the face 13 times, and so.
Oh yeah, that's fun too.
Basically, what we're coming to is I'm just a hypocrite across the board, and I don't know. I guess the headshots, man. There's something about headshots. God.
Yeah,
When you change the shape of someone's skull, that tickles me.
Especially since they brained that guy in the head and then they let him sit there for a minute. Not only that, it's like they had already killed one guy, and then he's like, just for a little Asian zing, I'm gonna kill the Vietnamese guy you're with, or whatever that guy was, and he just brained him in the head, and then one of his eyes is just hanging out by the socket, and he's just like fucking sitting there for a while, like muttering like, goodbye, I've always loved you, or something.
He's got this soliloquy for the end, but it's like, dude, you've been hit in the head like 6 times with a baseball bat, like nothing's gonna come out here.
Is there a chance of a blowjob before he hits me again?
You're gonna want to hurry up. Yeah, really speed things up.
You might even get one in. The guy might be like, I'll allow it.
That was part of it too, actually. We're kind of right on that topic, is, even if you're like a really, like a Girl Scout, tiny child, innocent person, but if given a baseball bat and instructed to deliver blows to an adult skull, it won't take more than probably 5 to 6 good solid hits before that person is dead. And I lost count somewhere at like 38.
Yeah,
like,
that guy was really beating the shit out of a pile of mush after a while.
It was basically a sledgehammer and an apple pie after like the 4th hit, and they just kept it going for another 16 minutes. It's like, at a certain point, what are we doing here? We're just hitting a can of paint with a fucking...
I thought it was a little tame. I'm against it.
I mean, you're into Chinese game show porn, so I mean, you deal with worse.
More gore. I'm gonna write The Walking Dead angry tweets like, that was it, pussy ass shit. Just like, so they'll just keep upping the ante every week. Jerry will quit watching. The fan base will just become Trump supporters.
It could go dark so quickly.
Oh fuck! That was brutal for a show that airs like that, I will say.
I was not prepared for it, but it's just like the first time that I started to hear shit on TV. Like, now I just expect it. So I'm going to be a little bit upset if I'm watching Jimmy Fallon and he has a guest come out and he doesn't just ambush them from behind the curtain and bash their skull in with a baseball bat 16 times.
Yeah. And he's like, cut off your son's arm.
Yeah,
like laughing to the camera. Hey, cut off your son's arm. Yeah.
No, that I expect monkey see, monkey do. Once something is popular or controversial or people are talking about it, then everyone else has to fucking do it. So I expect that every other show now will find their way of either cutting someone's arm
Leno
off,
will come back on TV. You see this? Look at this. I'm gonna brain him in the head with a bat.
I'm telling you right now, if you want to crush the Conor McGregor pay-per-view sales, Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno, you have a one-time return of the celebrity boxing franchise, and I'm telling you, I would risk losing my job to get tickets to see that.
You put Leno and O'Brien in a ring.
Yes.
You put like one barbed wire bat in the ring in the center, and then you're just like, to the death.
I was thinking boxing gloves just on the off chance that on some bizarre planet they would agree to it. Yeah. But I mean, if you want to make it now, let's say this. If the winner has to murder the loser with a baseball bat, then obviously the pay-per-view rates are going to be a lot higher. There's a lot more at stake, but I feel like it is more within reasonable reach, considering the fact that we might have Donald Trump as president, that Conan O'Brien and Jay Leno could be, with enough money and charity and whatever else advertising, you could get them into a ring, couple of rounds, and they'd throw a couple of boxing jabs at each other. And I know Conan's not a violent guy, but I could see him getting behind it. And Jay Leno's kind of a manlier guy, but he's taken a lot of shit over the years, so I'm sure it'd be nice for him to get in there and show how tough and manly he is. He's not just a garage guy.
I bet you Conan O'Brien's got a little rage in there, too, about how he got fucked over.
They're both from kind of rougher neighborhoods, you know? They're kind of scrappy. He's from Boston, and Leno,
they both have great hair.
Dude, there's the hair.
Jay Leno's got the jaw for that. That could be a glass jaw, though, dude.
And I would like to point out that Jay Leno is a former WCW Tag Team Champion.
Who was his partner?
Diamond Dallas Page.
DDP?
Either
And,
that, or I know they were in some kind of a match, and one of them won the belt, but it was DDP
Hey, we
and
look
Jay
at this
Leno.
wrestling shit.
It was DDP and
really
Jay
gets me
Leno.
pumped for a show.
I'm telling you, against Hulk Hogan and Rodman. Dennis Rodman. They had Dennis
Fucking
Rodman and Jay Leno in a
Undertaker.
ring. If you can get Dennis Rodman and Jay Leno in a ring, why can't you get Conan O'Brien? Conan O'Brien's almost the same size as Dennis Rodman. He's just the complete opposite of him.
Undertaker's like, hey Jay, I got you a bike. Yeah, like, oh, hey, thanks, Taker. Hey, thanks, that's great. Hell of a pal. Yeah,
Oh, this is great.
Oh, dude, I would pay to see that. Dude, I would say I'm gonna say go big or go home. Fight to the death.
The
I
standards
don't want
for
like
being,
a boxing match, a slapping fight.
the standards for being a celebrity are so low now. It's so easy to become famous and then not go away. That at this point, I think unless you are in the process of making a movie at this moment, you have to be ready to fight. And
Dude,
if
that's
your
what they're
number-
gonna start having, a celebrity death match, but real instead of clay people.
And I don't even I like the kill the one of them has to die. I like that, but the only problem with that is then you only get to match up like one at a time, and like if Jay Leno loses, then you can't have Jay Leno fight RuPaul, and it's like, well, hold on a minute, because I want to see RuPaul beat the shit out of Jay Leno too.
Oh,
that
yeah,
would be
you're
a great time.
Yeah. So there's no weight classes or anything. It's just fair game.
No, it'd be Hunger Games style, but with celebrities, and they just everybody who wants to be famous, whether you're music or as soon as people know who you are, and people start to give a shit, you go on a bingo ball, you go in the roller, and every weekend, Sunday, prime time, get the family together, and they're gonna start pulling names out, and whoever they pull out, you are gonna fight David Spade and Ozzy Osbourne. We're gonna kick some ass.
Dude, that'd be fucking awesome. I would be 100% like, dude, we should start just compiling some celebrity names, and every once in a while we'll do that as a segment. Like, who's fighting today? And who do you think would win? We'll take odds and stats.
And that's why you can't kill them, because you want to be able to reuse them, because if by some miraculous, imagine David Spade actually beats the shit out of Ozzy Osbourne,
Yeah.
you can't have that be how Ozzy goes out. You got to give him another chance at kicking somebody's ass.
Yeah, you're right. It's like you can't have like anything you can imagine. Wesley Snipes versus fucking.
I want to see Wesley Snipes and Carrot Top.
That'd be a good one.
'Cause
Carrot Top's fucking built.
They both have prison muscle,
Yeah, they do.
and they're both a little bit rapey.
I want to see Ric Flair versus Mickey Rourke because they both have that same body.
It would be you'd have to have one of them have like a feather in their hair. Or
They probably both would already.
give 'em,
I wouldn't
like,
have to ask them.
You'd have to put like some kind of marker on one of their legs so you'd know who is who.
Yeah.
But I want to see Ric Flair and Halle Berry.
Oh,
Halle Berry took in a ride to Space Mountain.
that would be a good one.
Woo!
Well, let's end on that. That's a positive image. Ric Flair rolling around with Halle Berry.
Do you think that you could end on a couple of just honest to God Ric Flair woos?
Woo! Yeah, just
Woo!
I'll play some here, and that'll be the end of the episode. We'll woo our way out of this.
We're wooing our way out.
All right.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
One man living in his parents' basement. Another man terrified of commitment and not sure what he wants to do with his life. They come together to create the world's greatest radio podcast.
Gun to your head, do you think it would be easier to put suspenders on a diapered kangaroo or an ostrich in pantyhose?
I can't come unless I get a coffee piss to the face.
Yeah, like he's locked in a dog cage in the closet and like there's like a monkey on top of the cage stunning him with like a cattle prod and like he's watching them through a peephole banger and like calling him an asshole or something like.
That's why there's so many Native Americans like,
I have never been a fan of Slayer or Anthrax.